Hello, and welcome to the Business Skill for Creative Entrepreneurship course. My name is Dr. Enrique Romida. I am a senior lecturer at the University of Birmingham. I teach entrepreneurship and innovation, and this is a project funded by the British Council as part of the Creative Spark, the Higher Education Enterprise Program. The first lecture is starting a creative business. So, how do we start? How do we relate our creativity in arts and other areas with business creativity? Let me give you one example. Here is a national design used in Kazakhstan for artwork and part of your traditional culture. But this is shared, this is common, this is art. This, on the other hand, is how someone takes this piece of art or creativity and converts it into a product that can be used for commercial purposes, that tourists can buy, or just for ornament back home. And that is the difference between creativity for art and creativity for business. Taking something and using it in another way. So creativity is everywhere. It can be used in art and it can be used in business. And the purpose of this course is to try to bring the two together and help you see how what you already do can be applied in other areas and hopefully also help you work with each other better together. So, the content of this first lecture is about three things. First, generating creativity. How can we be more creative? The second point is about business opportunities. And the third is about the business model canvas, how we can organize it all together. So, the first part, creativity generation. Just to put things in perspective, creative industries play a major role in most countries, and this role is increasing. Just looking at some data from the UK, there's an 8.9% increase in these industries. Of course, the majority of them is from IT and design services. But also other areas like architecture and other fields play a very important role. But the most important thing is the growth. And the same thing is important also for entrepreneurship. Creative industries are there to grow, to stay, and fortunately are part of our human nature and they cannot be replaced by machines. So, what is creativity and how is that different from a business opportunity? Sometimes, or we might think that, business is not creative. But the truth is that it is. Any ordinary idea, if it's executed exceptionally well, can become a business success. So some creativity is needed. If you're doing something that everyone else is doing without any creativity, then there is no reason for that business to exist. Just like creating something that is part of art, design, or other areas that you already do. So, let me give you one example. We know cars. Cars are a common product. But it takes a genius mind like Pagani who can take a car and turn it into a piece of art. He designs his cars by hand. He has his team that puts all the parts together and build those cars. So this is creativity translated into a success story, into a business success story. And there is no reason why in every area our artistic creativity cannot be turned into a successful business. What creativity is not, or what business creativity is not? It's not about logic. So we need to go a bit outside the box, think a bit outside the box. And it's not about the right brain or the left brain, and it's not about being crazy either. So being creative, either as a creative person or as a business person, it doesn't mean that you have to be crazy. It requires some degree of being organized, putting things in place. That's why at the end of this lecture, we talk about the business model canvas. So structures are needed and some brainstorming and teamwork is needed as well. So, how creative are you? Or how are you creative? Maybe you have never thought about it. If you can, pause the video and take some time to take this test. Testmycreativity.com. At the end, it's a questionnaire. At the end, you will be given a picture compared to other people, just to have an idea how creative you are. In no matter what area you are working on, this test will give you that big perspective. And you can think about it. What are the tools that can help us become more creative? There are quite a number of them, but I wanted to mention only 3 here. One is what is called spider diagrams. Spider diagrams is we start with the main idea in mind and we think what matters. For example, if you are designing a website, what matters? It needs to load fast. So speed loading, one criteria, part of one angle of the spider diagram. It needs to be easy to use. So ease of use is the other one. It needs to be beautiful is another one. So 3 dimensions, but we can add more. And we can look at each dimension, how they interact with each other. Usually, if a website needs to load fast, it cannot be that beautiful, because beautiful might need interactive applications and other things that make it harder to load. So sometimes there is a bit of conflict between these dimensions. A spider diagram helps us put things in perspective. A cognitive map is very similar. We start with a central idea, and then we look at what else it matters, and then we build on that. For example, building on the website example. It needs to load fast, but how can it load fast? Maybe we need smaller pictures. Maybe we need less information. Maybe we don't need other, like Flash applications, for example. But okay, if we must have Flash applications, how can they be? And we keep on building branches to those bigger branches. We build smaller branches of ideas, and we create a map, a mind map. A third element is laddering. We start with the basics, and then we build on it. So it needs to load, for example, for the website. It needs to work. It needs to, it needs to be easy to navigate. So, and we build on it until we refine it to the things that are maybe harder to achieve in the beginning, and maybe not that essential. So, all these tools help us take one basic idea and unfold it and expand it and build on it. What are the methods? So how can we apply it? Because those are the tools, but there are also a couple of methods. One is brainstorming. Brainstorming is what we do when we share ideas with others. There is a basic rule in brainstorming. No judgment, and the more idea, the better. A second example is the Delphi interactive study forecast. It's used for forecasting. In the past, it was the Temple of Delphi in Greece where people used to go for advice. What it actually means is you go and ask an expert. You take your creative ideas or any ideas to an expert, you get some feedback, you come back, you work on it, you go back to the expert. The third is lateral thinking. Thinking differently. For example, if you try to connect those 9 dots, by staying within the 9 dots, you cannot, with 4 straight lines without lifting the pen. You need to go outside, like in the second example. And that is lateral thinking. It requires you to think out of the box. And we can use the same logic in every area. In your creative work, how can you make a piece of work you're working on more beautiful, more original, to have a higher impact, to stand out from the crowd, and in the same way, how you can make a business more competitive. Edward de Bono, on the other hand, is just another method. We can look at the same problem from 6 different perspectives. Facts, emotions, negative perspective, positive perspective, creative perspective, or reflective, bringing all together. So all these are tools. The purpose of me explaining them is I want you to think how all these tools that are used in business can be applied in creative, in helping you to be more creative. But as you become more creative in what you do, you can apply that in business as well. So business and creativity is related.